All right, so we're going to talk about some harder factoring problems now, factoring level 2 we call it. And basically the way you tell something is a level 2 problem is if this number in front of the x squared does not equal 1. So all the ones we did yesterday, that number was 1. When it's not equal 1, we need to do something new. So some of it's the same. So the middle number in front of the x, that still goes at the bottom of the generic rectangle, so that b in front of the x goes down at the bottom. The main difference is that when you set up the diamond problem, that top number needs two things now. You're going to take the a and the c, and you're going to multiply them together, and that goes on the top. So before you do your diamond problem, you need to do that key first step, figuring out that top number. Then you do the diamond problem using the same tricks we talked about before. So you look at your factor chart, you're very careful with the positives and negatives, and you figure out the diamond problem, and you get these two answers. And so now the other catch is we can't just write the factored form from the diamond problem. We have to use the generic rectangle. And so how do you set the generic rectangle up? So two things. The corners just come directly from the original problem. So ax squared and c. So two of the corners come from there. The other two corners come from the answers to the diamond problem. And so these two answers go down here. And sometimes people ask about the order. Doesn't matter. You can sort of swap them. It doesn't matter which one's answer 1 and which one's answer 2. I just wrote them this way because they sort of matched up with left and right, but it doesn't really matter. So here's an example. So we've got 2x squared plus 9x plus 4. And so first thing I notice is this is not 1, so this is a level 2 problem. So when I go to set up my diamond problem, I'm going to have this 9 from the middle, goes on the bottom, and then remember where that 8 comes from. It comes from 2 times 4. And so that's sort of the key first step. First times last gives me that top number. And so now I look at my diamond problem. This isn't too bad a one. What multiplies to give 8 and adds up to 9? 1 and 8. And so those two numbers, that 1 and 8, tell me how to fill in the generic rectangle. And so the 1x and the 8x go in two corners, and then the other two corners are just the first and the last thing, so the 2x squared and the 4. And so now we have to finish the problem, and so now it's a little tricky to figure out this outside. You just want to pick a row or a column and find something that goes into both things. So like if I pick this row here, the 2x squared and the 8x, I see a 2 and an 8, and what goes into both of those is a 2, so I put that 2 out in front, and they both have x's, so I have that x out in front also. Once you get that one thing, it's really just a little puzzle now where we work backwards. So if I have a 2x here, to get a 2x squared, I just need another x, right? And if this is an x and this is a 1x, then this needs to be a plus 1. And if this is a 2x and this is an 8x, then I need a 4. And sure enough, 1 times 4 is 4. And so now I've got my outsides, and we just have to remember to write the answer the right way after we've done all this work. We want to get credit for it. And so we have 2x plus 1 and x plus 4 in parentheses. And so now we've factored that expression that we started with. We started with this thing, 2x squared plus 9x plus 4. That's a sum. That's a bunch of stuff added up. We've turned it into a product, right? These parentheses with the times in between, right? We're multiplying those two things. So we'll practice a few of these. Thanks.